Welcome everybody from the larger Gust community. I know there's some people from the mission control community in here as well, and I'm sure there's some Gust launch customers. But if you've been in our orbit for, gosh, the last year or maybe even more, you might have run into Dan Manning, who is sitting right next to me virtually, or on above me at the point virtually. And he's been one of our favorite experts involved in the community. He's been in pitch practice sessions, jumped into office hours, and helped a ton of founders out do something that I think, you know, a lot of founders just could get a lot better at, and which is building the narrative of the company that they're actually building, telling the story, putting it together. And what we realized with running these communities for so long, having so many launch customers, is, sometimes founders are so eager, they jump into a new company and they get building and they get trying to get people hired and they try to fundraise, and they haven't done like necessary steps to actually kind of prove out the entire narrative of the founder experience. And Dan is exceptionally good at that. I am very good at telling you about, how an 83B election works or how a safe note converts at a preferred funding round. I'm okay at stitching stories together. I do pretty well in pitch practice, but Dan has like refined it to a T. So we're excited to actually start joint programming with him, bringing him another Gust banner and Gust umbrella to offer a new program that we'll tell you a little bit about, and we'll tell you a lot about more in the next coming weeks. But what we always like to do at Gust is lead with value and demonstrate, yeah, we actually care about founders. We want to put this stuff out there in the community and help founders out. And so we're bringing Dan in for a couple events to talk about that. So I'm going to shut up as much as I can and pass the host wand to him for this because he has set all this up. But I'm super excited for the engagement, some of the cool stuff he's going to share with you, an actual interactive tool. So if you are one of the people who puts one of our webinars on your side monitor and treats it as a podcast, stay sharp because you will actually have an interactive 5 to 7 minute tool to use halfway through and maybe even get feedback directly. So this should be a really fun webinar, and there'll be some more from us in the future. But I will say less and pass it over to Dan. Thank you very much for coming, and I'm so excited for what's to come.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I've really enjoyed working with Gust and working with the founders in Mission Control. So most of the work that I do is around storytelling, right? It's helping people to communicate about their business. And I've worked with thousands of founders to help them to communicate about their business. But often the problem that founders have isn't that they have a story problem. They have a business problem, and they need some help really getting clear on the people that they serve and the strategy that they're taking. I also spent a career in the Air Force, 25 years in the Air Force, first as a fighter pilot, then as a military diplomat. Near the end of my career, I was working at our Combined Air Operations Center, leading the day-to-day air war against ISIS, where I was thinking about strategy a lot there as well. So I kind of run into this interesting combination of strategy and business and storytelling and just helping founders to think. Because it's usually not a lack of passion or a lack of hard work that causes founders to fail. It's really running out of time and running out of money. And if you have a strategy that is actually designed to help you to decide what you should be doing and what to say no to, then you can save that time, you can save that money, and you can make more progress. So this is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. If you stick with me, I have a tool that we'll use that's online to give you a one-page strategy document that is a place for you to get started, helping you to test your assumptions, helping you to build your business. So as I think about this, like this workshop, I was thinking back to one of the clients that I worked with a couple of years ago. So I'm a mentor, obviously with Gust, also with Techstars and with Generator. So I get lots of people who come to me when they have their very first like early ideas of their business and what they want to build. So on January the 2nd of 2024, one of my now friends and clients came to me and he had an idea for a product. He said, I want to build this product. It's going to be a product that helps people to write, helps people to build an audience. And we start going through the conversation like I would do about how we would build a story to help to advance that product. So I started asking him, well, who are the customers who are going to buy it? What is the problem that you're actually going to solve for them with this? What is the pain that they're feeling? And then like, how big of a business do you want to build? These are pretty simple questions, but because he was a builder, he was interested in building, and he hadn't really thought too much about these questions. But over the course of about that 1 hour conversation and going through the answers and some of those assumptions that were baked in but sort of hidden, he changed his plan. By the end of that same year, he had not only turned that idea into a business. He was hitting $20,000 a month. Today, he's still in the same business. He's added people to his team, and he continues to grow. So what I'm going to share with you works. I've seen it work hundreds of times, and it works because it impacts the way that you think and how you are building your business. So the chat is open. I'm dropping my LinkedIn there in the chat as well. If you have any questions, feel free to put those over there. And Nash, if you can help me, we will take a look for any questions that come up in the chat and make sure that we answer those also.
I will definitely be the question Sherpa.
Perfect.
And I put in the chat, we want this, it's going to have an interactive segment for sure, as we get into it, but feel free to throw questions in the chat, use the Q&A. We'll have some time for Q&A at the end, and if I see anything that is, topically relevant to what Dan's talking about, I'll interrupt him and elevate it.
Perfect. Thanks so much. All right, so this lesson is actually part of the overall new Gust countdown curriculum that we're building, right? It's 10 steps to your first 5 customers. So just to give you an idea of where this would fall in, this is going to be around number 6 for business planning. So by the time that we get to this curriculum, we've already gone through some founder mindsets, how to think about success, how to think about failure, how to think about your role and job as a founder. We've talked about customer discovery. How are you actually conducting those interviews? We've done some of those interviews along the way. You've worked with mentors to help you to sort of interpret the results from those interviews. We've talked a lot about experimentation, experimenting with your product and with your business model so that you can get the most out of the time and money that you have available. We've developed really your unique business value proposition. And now we're talking about strategy. How are you going to take all those things that you've learned and build those into a business? If you have any questions about this, please contact me there at my LinkedIn. I'll also give you all my links and stuff at the end as well. So here's one of the core beliefs that we're using as we're building this, the countdown curriculum. Any founder, any of you on this call can be successful given 2 things: enough time and a willingness to learn and adapt. That if you have enough time, you can learn the lessons that you need to learn. You can figure out what doesn't work, and then you can pivot to something that does work. The problem is time is not unlimited. And in fact, as an entrepreneur, I say that your job is to learn as much as you can, as cheaply as you can, and as fast as you can. That if you're focused on doing this, if you're focused on learning, then you're able to continue increasing your skills and you're going to get closer to success. But still, this isn't enough because time is everything. You're still limited on how much time you can spend learning. And I really mean time is everything. Money gets converted back into time. Investment that you raise gives you more time to learn these lessons to actually build the business that you need to build. So money converts into time, and then time, when you're doing it right, eventually converts into progress. But here's a big question that lots of founders that I work with run into frequently. What is worth my time to learn? Right? Time is your most precious resource as a founder, and squandering it on something that isn't moving you in the direction that you need to go is a waste of time. Your strategy should help you to make this decision. And I'm going to take you through exactly how to do that. But as we think about what a strategy is, let's take a look at some of the people who write about strategy and how they think about strategy. So one of the most downloaded articles from the Harvard Business Review is this one from Michael Porter. What is strategy? It's a pretty basic opening and question there, but it's a good one. Right? So he says that strategy is the creation of a unique and valuable position. The unique part is the place here that I really want to narrow in on. Like, you're not simply going to build the same business that somebody else built. Like, that is not a winning proposition. You're going to have to do something different. Maybe you are selling a very similar product, but you're selling it to a different market. You're selling it in a different way. You have a different business model, or you have a different technology that helps you to do it better. Or maybe you found a way to produce it at half the price, so now you can sell it at a lower cost. But whatever it is, you're looking for something that is unique. And your strategy should help you to find that unique thing. He also talks in that article about strategy involves a continuity of direction. That is, that it keeps you going on one path. Now, there's light guardrails on the sides of that path, and founders can sometimes take turns. But my experience in my own businesses and my own life is that those turns are usually not great turns that I should be taking. I would accomplish more, and I would feel more accomplished, and I would develop my business more if I had this continuity of direction, and strategy is what's going to keep us on that track. But he also says that the essence of strategy isn't just knowing what to do, but knowing what not to do. Strategy forces you to make choices. It forces you to decide what it is that you intend to do and how you intend to get there. So simply doing these things, defining what your unique value is, setting this continuity of direction, and deciding what fits into your strategy and what is out is going to help you to get better and to move your business. But there's more. This is my favorite definition of strategy, and this is one I built a strategy class for senior civilians at the Department of Defense who are rising up into like the highest civilian ranks. It's also used at the State Department for foreign service officers. I've taught it at the Air Force Academy, and I've taught it to businesses as well. And this is the definition that I like because it helps to get us in the right mindset. The strategy. This is from a British soldier and military historian and military theorist who lived like in the early 1900s. But he says that strategy is the art of bringing forces to the battlefield in a favorable position. It's the art of bringing forces to the battlefield in a favorable position. And this is even when you don't know exactly what the battlefield will be, exactly what your enemy will be doing, exactly what the weather conditions are going to be, exactly what the situation of the battle will be. None of those things matter. That strategy allows you to arrive to the battlefield in a favorable position despite all of those things. So how do you do that? I'm going to talk to you precisely about how to do it, but it comes down to developing the capabilities that you need as a founder to continue growing. The way that you define and decide what capabilities you need as a founder is by knowing what your strategy is and by setting it. And then sort of the last definition that I'll talk about here is from a friend of mine. In fact, we co-wrote a paper for the Joint Special Operations University. He was a former professor at the National War College. But what he says about strategy is that strategy is really a theory of success. It is a theory of success. It includes a solution to the problem and an explanation of how obstacles can be overcome. And this idea of a theory of success is really core to everything that we're talking about here today. It's not a detailed plan of, day one, I'm going to do this, day two, I'm going to do this thing, day three, I'm going to do the next thing. It's this theory. And I'm a firm believer in experimentation, in building a business and building a startup. Right? Experimentation helps us to save time. It helps us to save money. And this theory is sort of that overarching thing that should guide all of your experiments. That when you link these together, now you have this theory of, I think if I build a business in this way, then I'm going to get the results that I want.
Oh, we got a good one here,
Yeah, let's do
Dan.
it.
Yaw asks, with continuity of direction, if all is working as planned, when do you decide to amend the strategy? Is there key indicators to look out for?
So, so one of the other things that Michael Porter talks about in his article is that strategy is continuously evolving, that you're continuously on this outside edge, and that edge is really defined by your competitive advantage. So as long as your competitive advantage holds, then keep working the strategy that you have. But your competitors are also working their strategies. And sometimes your competition is just technology. Right? If you think about all the companies that were, or the founders that had dreams of building a company 3 or 4 years ago, and then all the LLMs and AI comes out, and now they no longer have the competitive advantage that they thought they might have. Well, they have to change their strategy. So when do I amend the strategy? It's when I need to change or I need to amend my competitive advantage. The key indicators to look out for certainly is going to be KPIs like market share, but also continuing to talk to your customers. How are they seeing the problem that you're solving? How are they talking about the pain? What are they doing instead of what it is that you are doing? They are going to be sort of the bellwether and the canary in the coal mine that lets you know that your competitive advantage is beginning to erode, and then you need to make a change. But I'd love to hear from you as well, Nash, if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I want to build on the point that you make, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I love the idea of showing up to the battlefield without necessarily having all the information. And to kind of pick at y'all a little bit, you don't necessarily have a plan, right? Plans go out the window at first sight of the enemy because things change on the ground every day. So strategy is not planning. That's tactics, right? In terms of, oh, how are we going to launch this webinar? How are we going to do this go-to-market strategy? How are we going to get a partnership with that big supplier? Like those are planning things, but strategy is positioning, and it is very much the more like, what is that unique advantage? You plan around your strategy, But, to say everything's going to plan generally means that you're accomplishing the tactics that are necessary to support your strategy, but your strategy is still well intact. And I think the feedback mechanism you're going to get is when some of your plans start failing, when your churn rate goes up, when your customers start giving you feedback that like, oh, this is a superior offering, or they don't renew as much. That's the feedback that's like, oh, maybe our strategy is slipping. Maybe you can look into it, right? Like maybe this marketing campaign, we goofed it up and the link didn't work. But that's a tactical error. But if it's like, oh, all of a sudden, like nothing is resonating with, new acquisitions, like that's a strategy failure. And I think those are the indicators.
So just to go into that just slightly deeper, right? This division between strategy in the military, we talk about strategy, operations, and tactics. When I'm talking about strategy, I'm usually thinking about what are the resources and the capabilities that I need to develop in order to fulfill my theory of success that we'll build here in a second. So the strategy is all about capabilities and resources. And then when I look at operationally, that is how do I apply those capabilities and resources? How much, if we're just talking purely about money, how much money goes into marketing, how much goes into R&D, how much goes into hiring the next person? And those are operational decisions. And then the tactics, that is how effectively am I using those resources to actually achieve the outcome that I'm looking for? So operationally, I may have put $100,000 into marketing, but I don't know anything about marketing and I wasted all that money. That's a tactical failure, not an operational failure, and not a strategic failure. But here, we're talking about the strategy, that top part. I'm sorry, R&D for research and development. Thank you, Andrew. So we're talking about sort of that top part where we're deciding what are the capabilities and the resources that we need. Let me talk about one more sort of thought piece before we get into the tactics of how we're going to begin applying this. And this comes from James Carse, who writes about finite and infinite games. Simon Sinek wrote another book about infinite games following up on this book. But sort of the key idea here is that a finite game, like a board game or a sport, that is played for the purpose of winning. But an infinite game is played for the purpose of continuing to play. That is, the finite game has set rules. You know when you sit down, here's how we're going to decide who wins this game. Everybody there agrees that that's the rules that we're going to play, and then we play until somebody reaches that point. But infinite games, infinite games, are different. Here we're playing to continue playing. And I'm telling you that building a startup is an infinite game. You can't always tell precisely when you even started. Like we might officially say we started with this business formation, but that wasn't the first thing that you did. You started thinking about your idea sometime before that. You started maybe developing it. You started talking to people about it, and then eventually you decide to build a business. There's no defined endpoint for startup success. There's no defined objective that you're absolutely pursuing, and the rules will change as you continue along this game. Even in the question we had before about how do you know if your strategy is beginning to slip? Well, now maybe I need to change the rules. Maybe the things that I was doing before, I'm not going to continue doing those, and I'm going to shift to a different place. But this idea of an infinite game links back to time. Right? We are looking to continue playing for as long as we can play this game. And if you do that, then you will learn, you'll develop, you'll adapt, and you'll be able to build the business that you are looking to build. All right, so we've got a question in the chat as well. Let's take a look.
So, from Stacy.
Yeah. So what if you've answered all the important questions? How can you attract investors if you're pre-seed? Favor startups that generate revenue? Getting out of the gate. All right, so here's the thing, right? This strategy is before you even talk to investors, right? This strategy, this theory of success is the thing that you have to communicate and get investors to believe as well, right? I believe that I can work with this customer who has this problem. They will buy this product that I'm developing. And with that, I will be able to make this much money. That essentially is it's the core of every pitch that you are going to give. Who are you serving? Why are they going to buy your thing? What is the thing they're going to buy? And how much money do you think you can make? So if you're focused purely on how do I attract investors without doing this step, you're already going to be behind. This helps you to make those choices, to get your idea into some context that can actually be passed to someone else. Usually that's going to be through a story. And then if you do what I'm telling you here, as we talk about surfacing some of those assumptions that are baked into your theory of success, now we can start testing those assumptions. Now we can start experimenting. And now when you do go and you talk to investors, you're coming to them with something that you have tested, that you have something more than rhetoric. You have some data and some evidence that shows that you have a pathway to being successful. And then you're more likely to raise the investment. You're also more likely to build the business you want to build.
And I want to dig in on that first question. If you've answered all the important questions, that means you have evidence. So I think a lot of times founders get a little confused between like, oh, I went through a business model canvas and I said how I was going to distribute my product. I'm going to do it through social media. It's like, okay, that's not an answer. That's a hypothesis. If you answer that question is when you run the social media campaign and you see how it actually performs. That is the answer. And I think a lot of founders get kind of hung up on that differential where it's like, no, I have the whole plan in place. I just need somebody to give me money to execute it. When in reality, it's like the hypothesis and the answer are often quite separate.
100%. So Andrew asked about those four things. I dropped them into the chat, but we're also going to talk about them here in a second.
Wonderful.
So what is a useful startup strategy? How do you know if you have a startup strategy that's actually going to help you? Well, it's going to do these four things. One is going to include that theory of success, how you believe that you're actually going to build the business that you have in mind. It's going to surface those hidden assumptions, those things that are sort of built into what you said, but until you really think about them, they haven't come to the forefront of your mind, and often we sort of hand wave or we glass over those. Is going to let you know what are the capabilities that you need to develop, and it's going to help you to say no. So as we're developing this theory of success, here are really the four pieces that when I work with clients, that we really want to define to put into that theory. It's going to start with the customer. Like, who are we actually looking to sell this product to? It doesn't have to be so precise that it is small business owners with less than 20 employees and more than $5 million in revenue who also work in this industry. You could be a little bit more broad than that because you're going to do some experimentation. Eventually, you'll need to get that specific. But at this level, you just want it to be something that is more specific than people, and so that you can actually get those assumptions that you can test. And then let's think about what the problem is. What is the problem that these people are experiencing? And I'm going to look for problems that cause pain, right? I argue that every business is a business because one person pays another person to relieve their pain. I want to be focused on what is the pain that I'm solving. And then as I'm building this, what is the problem that underlies that pain? When I do get to the place where I'm talking to customers, I'm going to talk more about their pain than I'm going to talk about the problem. But here, I want to say, what is the problem I'm actually looking to solve? And then how am I going to solve it? What is the product that I'm actually developing that they can buy? And then finally, what is my business goal? You get to decide the size of business that you want to create a strategy for. Do you want to create something that lets you get out of the job that you're in right now and have a little more independence? Or do you want to create a unicorn? You get to decide that, but your strategy will be different depending on which of those you decide to do. You get to make that choice and then pursue it. And then when we put these together, and this is what the tool's going to help you to do that we're going to go to in just a second, essentially, your theory of success is just this type of customer will buy a solution to this problem using this product, and by doing that, I can reach this business goal. It's pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Let me stop here and let's check in the chat real quick. Yeah, good. Okay.
We're just getting support.
All right, perfect.
And I want to make a quick comment because I hear this all the time. I love that thing as removing pain, and people are like, but what about soda and video games? It's like boredom can be pain for
100%.
certain people. Hunger can be pain for certain people. So it's the lens. It's not the most people think of pain as like my elbow hurts or I had it broke, but like you got to identify what that pain is. Spending too much time processing emails can be pain.
Yes. So I can do an entire session just on pain and problems, but when I talk about it, briefly, the problem is the thing that needs to be fixed, but the pain is why I want to fix it. Right? I got lots of problems. My desk, my bookshelf over here is a little bit of a mess. I've got a car that needs some work. I need some repairs done to my house, but right now they're not causing me pain. So I'm spending my money, my time, and my attention on those things that do cause me pain. Like when I get hungry this afternoon, you can bet that I'm going to eat. I'm not going to put that off for 3 weeks like I've put off cleaning off my bookshelf. I'm going to relieve that pain. But founders, like we are experts in problems and solutions. So we get so deep into seeing the problem from a mile away that we it really gets in our way of being able to communicate that to our customers. We are experts in problems and solutions, but our customer is an expert in the pain that they feel. And if I can convert the way that I speak into something that is more receptive to them, the way I know it's more receptive to them is by doing that customer discovery we talked about before, by validating these assumptions that we're about to talk about, then I'm much more likely to communicate to them and they can see why it's a good trade for them to give me their money to buy this pain relief. All right, get multiple customer types with different problems that your solution addresses. So what I want to do with those different customer types, so you can think about customers in terms of demographics, right? I'm serving women age 35 to 55 who live in this area of the country who do this thing. And you could define your customer that way. And if you're selling a product that is designed specifically for that customer, that's fine. But you can also define your customers in terms of the pain that they feel, right? So if I'm serving small business owners, for instance, maybe I'm developing an accounting, some type of accounting software, some accounting solution. And now my customer is a small business owner with less than $1 million of revenue who is tired of QuickBooks or who doesn't like paying for a CPA, whatever that thing is. I'm going to think about what the pain is that they're feeling, and now I can classify them by that pain rather than just by demographics. But I want something that's going to be sort of this higher classification of the people that I'm talking to. If I say my customer type is everyone, then that's not going to work, right? I don't have the time or the money to market to everyone, and I'm now in competition with everyone as well. But if I'm serving this one particular type of customer with this one particular type of pain, it is so much easier for your customers to decide to work with you. Good. All right, so let's get to the tool. So let me drop into the chat. Yeah, so here's just a quick little tool that I built. You can go to that link there. And essentially what this tool is going to do is I'll be quiet for 5 minutes in just a minute. And it'll let you go through and you're just going to answer those questions, right? You're going to answer the customer, the problem, the product, and the goal. And it's going to go through, it might ask you a few follow-up questions to help you get a little bit more specific. Then it's going to surface those assumptions. It'll surface the capabilities that you need. You'll get a chance to review them there. And then when you get to the end, you can download a PDF or a docx of what it put together for you, as well as sort of this one-page, graphic of all of those pieces so that your strategy fits on one page. And often the people that I work with, they'll print out this one page, they'll put it next to their desk, and when they're wondering, like, should I be doing this thing? They take a look at their strategy, and that will guide them. You can scan the QR code, you can use the link in the chat, or you can type the link in here. If you do have a problem, then speak up on the chat, and we'll do it. So now I'm going to start the clock for 5 minutes and be quiet.
Five? You're gonna be quiet. Should I play some music in between?
Oh, if you can, that'd be great.
Yeah, I think so. Let's see what people's appetite is. Ooh, high fidelity stereo.
So there's the link again for you, Laura.
All right, does this actually come through? Oh no, oh come on, Zoom. Hang on. Do you hear some slight mountain goats?
I do. Yes.
That actually works?
Yeah, it works.
Is it too loud?
Oh, so you know what? I mean, it's not too loud, but Ryan, I don't think I can post into the chat. Can you copy that link and drop it into the chat there?
Yeah. Oh, I see. Oh, you have to drag down to hosts and panelists. You're still posting on everyone. Oh, you want to throw the QR
there it is.
up while we're doing this? Yeah.
Here we go.
I got it though.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. If anybody wants to critique my music taste, I'm willing to fight you. It's so much fun.
It's hard to be quiet.
Yeah, I want to chatter over it, but I know that I went through the app earlier, and it's very fun. I feel like we need an intermission, like one of those uh Quentin Tarantino and like Kill Bill, where it's just like the 70s colors like moving around, a little bit of music. I don't think there's any offensive lyrics in this song, but it actually makes me think of the founder journey. So the I tried to pair this up to what you're saying is like the first thing you learn is how far you can go on an empty tank of gas, and the next thing you learn is how cold it can be at night.
Nice.
Always a clock ticking somewhere. Is that coming through better than it's coming out of my speakers, I imagine? Because I think it's channeling it through.
It's a little bit scratchy.
Okay, yeah. I don't think Zoom's working really well. Yeah, I'm feeling that too. I can kill that. We used to try to do waiting room music when we started Mission Control in the very beginning. And then we were worried about copyright fraud and then it was like recordings and I'm very fascinated. And for people who are filling this out, Dan, I believe we do have some time to pull up some live examples, right?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. So
So,
I'm watching
oh yeah, you get some stats in there. Yeah.
progress. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
So it's working. People have got the link. They're filling it out.
they are.
So we will pull people up, allow you to talk, allow you to share, and give some direct feedback rather than just playing around with made up fake businesses. Here we go. Kill that. Yeah. It's so fun to see everybody here as well. I see a couple familiar names too. And Dan, I think we do want to make a point to anybody in mission control. We'll give some preferential treatment for this countdown program that we're talking about.
100%.
So you'll hear more from us.
So we've got about another minute and a half.
Oh, Dan, did you see my submission when I tried it out earlier this afternoon?
I saw the one for Gust and one for Phobo.
Phobo, yes.
Nice.
That was my 10-year-old idea when so many people in my office were subscribed to box of the month companies and they were like, I'm overwhelmed with stuff from my box of the month
Oh
company.
no.
I'm like, what if you could just send it back?
So Sam is saying it wants you to sign up to Replit.
That shouldn't be
You,
the case. Maybe
you,
did I copy the wrong link?
no, it's the right link. But it didn't make you do that when you tried today, right?
No, it goes straight. I mean,
Yeah.
it asks for your contact information, but I don't think that creates a Replit account. I think that
No.
just I think that allows Dan to reach out to you, and this is a very smart go-to-market strategy.
Oh, there we go. Hit the X. Perfect.
There you go.
Awesome.
Oh,
Thank you,
okay.
Sam.
Maybe Replit had something that popped up.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, it's also possible I have already been to Replit and have a Replit account, so maybe I didn't get to see that experience.
All right. So I'm not seeing any that are completed yet. So we'll stand by for another 30 seconds or so.
Dan, how long did it take you to build this little replica?
About 2 days and probably $50.
Okay.
But I've also built a lot with I built a lot with Replit lately. I've also built with Lovable. And
Hmm.
so you said that the assumptions could not be generated. Did you click?
Yeah.
There's a
Oh,
button
well,
there that lets you. Yeah, I'm Ottawelli. There's a button there that lets you click to generate them. Make sure that you click that. So this is the first time that we've used it. With a group. So um, I'll keep it available. I'll take a look. If you do have a problem, you can email me, and I'll make sure that you get the information that you put in, so that you can pull that back out.
yeah, I think I do remember the assumptions. I think the CTA wasn't immediately obvious. You needed to
Yeah.
kind of figure out there was a.
Okay.
Okay, you can move on.
So here's my email.
Yes, and for everybody in the call, Dan is being very gracious with his contact information. We've got a big audience here, so good luck, Dan. But
Sounds good.
he will be able to follow up with people individually as we kind of roll this program out and offer more about it.
So it looks like there's still some problems there with the assumptions. So we'll take a look at that.
Do you want to maybe share your screen and just kind of walk through it hyper fast in case anybody's just getting caught up on UX stuff?
Absolutely. So let me also drop my LinkedIn in here. You see where everybody is. All right. So now we're getting some. So somebody finished Peony or Peony. Is it okay if I
Beautiful name.
share yours? Whoever belongs to Peony. Awesome. Perfect. Thank you, Amber. Yes. So that link will continue to stay there. I did just drop my LinkedIn into the chat as well, and it's now going to everyone, so you should be able to see that. All
There
right,
we
so
go.
let's share here for Amber. All right, here we go. Okay, so your theory of success, that adults actively building a family, starting with women in fertility care at a certain age, will buy family building is, oh, that's the problem. Okay, so it should um, smooth out this language, but let me read it and I'll tell you how to restate it. High stakes, logistic, complex, but a neutral navigation layer, people pursuing fertility care, disconnected stakeholders, clinics and agencies, pharmacies, informal or their own, costs are unclear, timelines are brittle, decisions compound, missteps can cost months, thousands of dollars, and meaningful emotional strain. By using, okay, so I would collapse like all of that. Like that is terrific information that you will use as your messaging to these people. But if you were to, Amber, put into just a couple of words, like what is the problem? Is it navigating fertility care? Is it um, getting clarity on cost and timelines around fertility care? Maybe that broader thing is around navigating, and that sounds like an incredibly painful problem that people would gladly pay to be solved. So I think the way I would wrap this up is adults actively building a family, starting with women in fertility care, will buy services to help them navigate a confusing, um, complicated, unclear fertility journey by using Peony, which is a provides them a personalized, state-specific plan and guidance, and that you can market and deliver this at a margin that allows you to create whatever you decide that your ultimate business goal is. Right. So you're serving women in fertility care to help them to navigate a complex fertility care system by using a combination of a platform and concierge services so that you can build a business that grows to 2x. So then if you look at those assumptions, right, is this middle place? And the system does a pretty good job of surfacing these assumptions. So you're making the assumption that this is specified in Seattle and San Francisco. If you have a geographically fixed product that you're delivering, that they're actually seeking this navigation solution. So you'd want to validate that assumption with more customer discovery, talking to people, not about P&E, but talking to them about what they are feeling and what they are experiencing, and maybe they've tried other solutions. Having them tell you that, yes, I've tried this thing and it didn't work. I've tried this thing and it didn't work, and you have some other pathway is a great way to validate that assumption. If we look at some of the problem statements here, so state-specific rules and requirements materially affect decisions and timelines, making localized guidance necessary for success. So you may already know this based on your own experience, but this is absolutely something that I would want to make sure I could validate, and I'm probably also going to communicate that in my pitch. Right? I'm going to give an example of some of those state-specific rules that materially affect decisions so that you can convey that and you make sure that you are working off of good assumption. Let's look at one more of these. So in terms of the solution, that, we want to, this bottom one here about concierge execution support meaningfully increases customer confidence and outcomes, driving retention and referrals, right? You want to make sure that you're assuming that concierge service is something that people would want and that they would pay for and it would help them to improve. But you might find that people don't want that. You might find that it's something that is so private and so personal to people that they feel awkward talking to someone who maybe isn't a medical professional. Or what you might find is that the concierge needs to have a certain level of capability and experience and other qualities that make them acceptable. And then at the end, if we go to these core capabilities needed, so this is regardless of precisely what you were doing, these are the types of capabilities that you need to develop in order to build this business. So you've got to build some type of intake and navigator, a state-specific rules engine, those things that you said that you would have there, set up analytics, run cost-controlled local acquisition that recommends via Google Ads, recruit, vet, and maintain the clinics. Yeah, so these are all very concrete things that you can do. And I think where this serves founders the best is in helping you to get those assumptions out of your mind and onto paper, and helping you to see like what are the capabilities that you need to develop so that you can show up to that position on the battlefield in a favorable, or show up to the battlefield in a favorable position. Good.
And I
Any
want to
thoughts?
say, I
Yeah,
think,
please.
I think this is a fantastic example of the most common founder mindset I've seen, um, which is they almost broke your bot. And this is why
Oh,
Dan
good.
has not yet been replaced by LLMs, because founders know so much about what they want to do that they cannot help themselves from just putting it all out there. And like, so I went through this tool with a couple businesses, some real, some fake. And my little green box at the top was basically succinct brilliance, in terms of like what you heard legendary software companies do, the titans of industry right now. I'm like, oh, this makes total sense. But seeing Amber's thing there, it's like Amber knows everything about what she's doing, and she supplies it wherever she can. And so you get that kind of chunk of just like it's just too much. Like, Dan, you can ferret through it and you can actually figure it out. So the tools aren't there yet. You've done a pretty good job though. I find the whatever prompts you've put on in the back to shorten it are pretty good. But I think this is the value between like kind of what you offer and what we're going to try to offer together.
Yeah, it's really like I like using AI tools to make me better, right? Rarely am I going to use an AI tool to do the job. I'm doing the job, and the AI tool is going to help me to do it. It's not always going to 100% work in production the first time that we show it, but we're getting some success here, and I'll make sure that I can. Anybody else who didn't get the results that you need, like send me a note. We'll chat. We'll make sure that you get exactly what you need. It may even be in the system. It just didn't show up for you, so we'll make sure that we do that. And those assumptions those were all generated assumptions. This is actually using I think it's using Gemini 3 for these, and it does a really good job of taking the words that you have said and now pulling it back out past that place. So to move past the strategy refinement page, it has a a link or a button that says assumptions. You click on assumptions there, Andrew, and it'll take you to the next page. So, Nash, let's go back. There were a few questions that we didn't get to answer
Yep.
earlier. There was one from Sean about a two-sided marketplace. So when I think about the strategy for a two-sided marketplace, essentially you have twice the problem because you need a theory of success for how you're going to attract the suppliers, for instance, and then you need a theory of success for how you're going to attract the buyers. Your suppliers have a different problem and a different pain than your buyers, so you want to be thinking about those differently. So in that case, I would build two of these. Two-sided marketplaces are hard because it is twice the problem. You have twice the challenges, twice the number of people that you have to speak to, but it is certainly doable and some of the most successful businesses that are out there. Any thoughts on two-sided marketplaces, Nash?
I I agree that it's exceptionally challenging to build, and I think a lot of founders get attracted to the trap of wanting to build a two-sided marketplace without having um, a kind of wedge into what makes it work. Like I think Beanie Babies are a hilarious example of eBay, which is that's a timing thing, right? The reason eBay actually got off the ground was because there was just a timing solution for something that made sense, right? Build a two-sided marketplace of bidders and sellers and, spike them up and do them. And, it's like, but now that's like a solved problem, right? If you were going to go out and say, I'm going to build an eBay competitor right now, like, okay.
Why?
Yeah. Like, how are you going to get people to just put their stuff up on a website to bid? Like, there's a solution that already exists. Um, Tinder's a very interesting example. It's like, they ran around college campuses and as gross as it sounds, it's like they realized like women on the platform are going to make it attractive to men. So let's go to every sorority function we possibly can and build up one side of the marketplace. But that's a case in time now, right? There's 100 dating apps that are just fighting for people's attention. They have to do it in a completely different way. It is nothing about
Mhm.
that. It is about the UX, the experience. You just really have to think about it. But I do think it is an incredibly challenging business model, and it's usually I think it's a lot of time it's timing more than it is just brilliance of
Mhm.
how the economics would work.
Yes. We also had a question from Diane, where like her plan is she's working on a pharmaceutical company, and the her plan is that she will have an exit where some pharmaceutical company buys her business. So if if that is your explicit business approach, then I would use those pharmaceutical companies like as your customer there. Like how can you build whatever it is that you are building, whether you're developing some new discovery or you're developing some other business that can be acquired, how can you build that in a way that solves a problem for the people that you want to sell it to? So we are kind of it's really the same structure for the theory of success, but we're putting the ultimate people who are buying, in this case, it's not the customer for the product that you're producing, it's the entire business. Put that as part of your theory of success. And then you save time and you preserve your energy and your flexibility by always working like with that in mind. Whereas if you were building a business, I don't know exactly what your business is. If you were building a business to sell a very specific product, then you're going to normally you devote tons of time and attention into selling to whoever your end consumer is, the person that's going to give you that amount of money. But in this case, it may be that that's not the path that is actually going to be the best use of your time. And the only way that you're going to sort of see that and uncover that strategy is by putting those pharmaceutical companies right in the heart of your theory of success and then developing for them.
Yeah, I
Good.
think that's an area I've seen a lot of medical device, biotech, pharmaceuticals, new founders who have like an experience from the background in the industry try to start their own company is they're so obsessed with like I can cause a miracle. It's just going to take me 5 years in order to be able to have anybody pay for it, give me money. They end
Mhm.
up never getting the money because their customer is not the end user, which let's put a caveat on this. In the American healthcare system, might be a bad thing.
Mhm.
There's a lot of regulation and things like that. But your customer, your first customer for your first half decade is not the end user. It's actually the industry.
Hmm.
And that completely changes, kind of like you said at the beginning, Dan. It's like, don't waste time, trying to just constantly sell the amazingness of how this is going to change your life. Your pitch deck is basically, this is how the pharmaceutical industry is going to make a bunch of money.
Hmm. Perfect. And then, so we're getting some good comments from Glenn saying already generated new actionable ideas. Perfect. That means we're delivering
Wonderful.
value. Good. And then Dan is saying if I use ChatGPT and it's very knowledgeable about my business, is it better to use other AIs like Genesis to give an independent analysis? So Gemini is the one that we're using here. So I teach a class on AI for decision makers, and I use all the tools that are out there. And what I find is that definitely using another AI helps me um, to have fewer gaps in what the AI is producing. So maybe ChatGPT or the OpenAI model is not the best in this area, but it's great in all these others. But if I go to Claude, then Claude is actually really good at that thing and not good at those others. So I'll sometimes like move the actual output between the two and have it give me sort of a skeptical analysis of the other one's work. And usually it's going to give me something that just helps me to think better and see something that I would have missed. And it doesn't cost you very much time or money to do that. So so now when you do get that one page, either you're able to download it or you're going to send me a note and I will pull it out of the system so I can send it to you. Then what are you going to do with that? So the way I think about it, and this is the one that I built for my Build the Story business, providing story building services to primarily to early stage founders, coaches, and consultants, like it says in my theory of success, so that they can build their business and communicate to customers. So when I think about that top paragraph, the theory of success, if I'm presented with a new opportunity, then I want to check it against that theory of success. And if it doesn't fit inside there, then really I've got three options. Either I say no to it, or I recognize that I'm now making a pivot in my business. That is what I originally believed was my theory of success. Now I'm going to do something different. And maybe I do a small experiment to see if it holds promise before I make that pivot. But eventually, I'm not going to be able to chase two rabbits. I need to pick the rabbit I'm going to chase and then put my time and my attention after that one. So if I have this rabbit over here and this other one, I've got to say no to one of them or make the conscious choice that I'm pivoting to this other one. That then means that I need to recheck my assumptions. Those assumptions that I had validated from my previous approach, now I need to see if they still hold under this new approach, rather than just waiting to find out because things just aren't working the way that I expected them to. Or maybe I have a completely new business and now I make this decision that I'm going to start something that's completely different. But something should happen. This theory of success should help you to avoid just going down a different rabbit trail that is not going to be useful for you without you consciously making the decision to do it. You're the founder, you get to choose what you want to do, but a conscious choice is usually better than just following what's there.
Well, let
Yeah,
me give a
please do
concrete
it.
example of this where we had a founder in Mission Control who was an audio engineer, completely psyched about the idea of building um, motor sounds for electronic vehicles because there's a clear problem in the space that electronic vehicles are quiet, when they're moving around the streets, absent all the snow that we have right now. And through the program, we did not have your help at this time, Dan, but it was like it was it was a big struggle for him to, despite his credentials and background and things like that. And it was the thesis statement was like, oh, it's because the realities of the industry is like every single big auto manufacturer is already working on this kind of thing. So it's like, and you can't sell into that because of whatever it's regulation, stonewalled, whatever. And he ended up completely flipping his business. It took much more pain than what we're probably trying to do here, months and things like that, into something that leveraged exactly what he wanted to do. But it was actually just like, figuring out like, oh, I need to pivot. Like this is not a viable solution based on my
Mhm.
background, my connections, how the industry works. And I think that's something founders should probably check on the quarter basis because in the early stages, you're dealing with a very unknown battlefield.
100%.
Callback.
No, yeah, yeah, very nice, right? It's 100%. So if he had been able to make that decision earlier, if he had been able to validate some of those assumptions, to do some experiments, then he would have spent far less money and spent far less time trying to make something work that just he could have found it early it wasn't going to work, and now he gets all that time back to reinvest in the thing that he's actually
Yeah.
pursuing.
The pitch deck was beautiful.
Oh, that's a shame. So, all right, so now in this middle section, now you have your assumptions, and these are assumptions to be validated. And primarily, you're going to validate those through customer discovery. Maybe you go back and you talk to customers that you haven't spoken to before, not so much to sell your thing, but to listen to them. How are they talking about these things? What have they already done? Or maybe you're conducting some product experiments, and that's in one of the earlier sessions that we'll teach in the countdown. How can we build something, maybe using these tools like Replit or Lovable, so that you have some small piece of value that you can sell, something that people can trade their money for, and that is the best evidence that you'll have that people will trade money for your bigger thing. It forces them to make a choice rather than just saying, "Hey, yeah, that sounds nice." And then here at the bottom, these are the capabilities that you need to have to make your theory of success actually work. And these capabilities, you can either buy them, you can borrow them, or you can build them, right? You can buy them. That is, you can hire somebody. Maybe you need, graphic design, or maybe you need digital marketing. You can hire somebody to do that for you, or you can borrow them. That is, you work with a mentor, through the Gust network inside Mission Control, or the people that we'll bring in as part of Countdown, where maybe you don't have to learn all about that thing, but I can teach you enough about what you need about storytelling to help you to move your pitch, or to move your whether it's a sales pitch or an investment pitch, or you just build those skills yourself. That you invest that time so that you can actually build those skills, so that that's something that if this startup doesn't work, then you'll have those skills available for you in the next one. But here's the bottom line, right? Startups don't fail because the founder isn't smart enough, because the founder doesn't work hard enough, or because the founder isn't passionate enough, right? Startups fail because we run out of time. You run out of time, you run out of money, you run out of money that you can convert back into time, and it's usually because that time or money is getting wasted on something that doesn't matter. Your strategy isn't a document, it's not a plan, it's this theory that helps you to say clearly, like, here is how I believe this business is going to work. And it's a filter to help you sort out those things that are a distraction from your time and aren't actually contributing to your progress. If you can do this, if you can have that filter, if you can learn faster, if you can say no more often, and you can build the things that your customers are actually looking for, then even if this idea doesn't work, then you will. And that's how founders win this longer, more infinite game. I would love to stay in touch with you. I've dropped my LinkedIn into the chat. I'll drop my link here on scheduling some time with me. If you have some interest in the countdown program and learning more about it, I'd love to talk to you about it there. Also, follow me on LinkedIn. I post there about storytelling, about building a business, and about AI. And you can also email me there. That's my actual email address. If you have some questions, especially about the strategy we worked on today, send me an email there, and I'm glad to have a chat with you. Hope this has been helpful for you, and we're ending bang on time. So
Perfectly on
I'm
time.
right back. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Dan. And I got 2 more minutes just to let everybody know. Hit that Calendly link because we are going to launch something with Dan and Gus together where we go through all 10 steps to the countdown. We're kind of soft rolling it out this week. It seems like people are really resonating with it. So thank you so much, Dan. And talk to him, see if you're a good fit, if it's a good fit for the program, and we'll have a lot more to come in the coming weeks before we kick this off in pretty much mid-February. I feel like we're still on track.
Yes, 100%.
That's a
We are.
question guised in a
Yes.
statement.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dan.
Thank you.
And thank you for some participation, especially Peony, for volunteering to get up on the stage. We
Yes.
always appreciate audience participation, and we'll see you all soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much. We'll see you.
See you.